All right. Welcome back to Big B Sports Talk Podcast. I appreciate you guys keep tuning in, man. It's starting to get really, really fun. So starting to get more and more feedback. So I appreciate it. Last week, we'll just dive right in. Last week we talked about ESPN, and last episode anyway, we talked about it was ESPN ruining college football. Today, we're going to talk about what I know for a fact that's ruining football in general, and that is this targeting rule. Just got to go. Got to go. So, by the way, again, www.koolaidsports.com. That's Kool-Aid with the C. That's the website. Come check us out. All the podcasts are uploaded there. You can get the podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. We're also on YouTube, again, at Kool-Aid Sports. It's Kool-Aid, Koolaid Sports on YouTube. Come check us out. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate the support, man. I really do. It's starting to pick up a little bit even more than what it already has. So I'm having a great deal of time, a great deal of fun putting these things out for you guys, so I appreciate it. So, targeting. Just absolutely destroying football as we know it. Now, look, I understand the spirit of the rule. I understand what they're trying to do. I get that. I really, really get it. They're trying to make the game safer. Look at it as, there's certain things that are just in football that are just going to happen. Football is a collision sport, okay? Not a contact sport. Let's not confuse the two. Football is a collision sport. Collisions all game long. That's what it is. It's not basketball is a contact sport. You're feeling each other out, trying to battle for position. Football, you're trying to beat and hit somebody to get the position. There's a huge difference. And you're going to have collisions that ultimately are going to be head-to-head collisions. That's just the way that it is. I was on with my good friend Tim Fitzgerald, who we do a podcast on powercat.com. It's the pregame. We do a pregame. We do a postgame, podcast about K-State football games. And we were talking about this, and this is what kind of led me to the topic. So thanks, Tim, is that it's just destroying football. Now, look, I've been following football that I can remember since I was 5 years old. My dad took me to all the football games that he coached in high school. I played, and I've never stopped watching football. Football is my passion. It just is. I love it. And I love the hitting. I do. And it doesn't make me old school or anything like that. I like to see physical football. Every time I see a hit in a game, I'll be sitting there watching the game, and I literally scream at my television, yes, that's right, physical football. My wife does her little ooh every time she sees my dog's barking at us. And I'm like, that's football. We all want to see it. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. Okay? Let me repeat that. We and you, nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. But football is a game of will. And when you're talking about will, you're trying to crush somebody's will or move somebody against their will. For me as an old lineman, that was my thing. I'm going to move this man against his will to do what we're trying to do. On defense, you're trying to hit somebody as hard as you possibly can so the next time they think twice about doing it. The game is, you can say that it's become soft. I don't know that the players, in a sense, are softer, but they've been created to be softer. Because now it's just like they're looking, the one thing that drives me insane is every pass downfield, the receiver's looking for interference. Come on, he touched me, he breathed on me. I'm like, come on, what are you doing? Play football. There's hand fighting. You're fighting all the way down the field. The ball comes, the receiver pushes, and then the defender slaps him back. Oh, and then you want to call pass. And then half the time, the refs throw the flag. It's ridiculous. Physical football is the same thing. Now, this targeting thing has got to stop. It's got to stop. It is destroying football. I mean, in pro football, the guys, it used to be as a receiver, you thought twice about going over the middle because you knew if you went over that middle and the quarterback threw the ball high, you were going to take a shot. Now, whether they were going to hit you on the lower body and flipped you, hit you in your knees and destroyed it, hit you in the stomach, in the ribs and busted ribs, or hit you in the head and knocked you out. I'm not saying that, oh, that's great football. That's how the game was played. Now, you want to make things safer. I understand it. Like I said, I understand the spirit of the rule. You're wanting to make things safer. And things should be safer. Don't get me wrong. You want a safe football game. But there are some things that you can't take the safe out of. For instance, driving a car, you put on a seatbelt. You can still get hurt driving a car with your seatbelt on. You do all the precautions. You put the airbags everywhere. I mean, there's airbags everywhere in a car these days. Front, side, back, head, everywhere. You can still get hurt. So you do what you can, but that doesn't mean they haven't lowered speed limits, have they? No. If anything, they increase speed limits places. So are we really trying to take it out? And that's the thing to think about, is that you put all these precautions in a car to drive it and to make it safer, but they tell you to go faster. Football, the opposite. They change the equipment. They make it safer. The helmets don't weigh anything now, and they're the most. I mean, if you pick up a football helmet from when I played, and again, I'm not saying I'm ancient or anything. I'm an old guy. Don't get me wrong, but in the late 90s, football helmets were heavy. I mean, that first day of practice, your neck was sore because just wearing your helmet, not hitting each other, just from wearing your helmet. Now the helmets are super light, but they're so much more protective. I mean, I saw my dad's helmet from the 60s. I mean, that thing, it was like, there's about 4 pads in there. I mean, you knock on that thing, and I'm like, man, how did this just not crack with well, apparently they used to. So it's just things are so much more safe now. But now they're going a step further, and you're changing the game. And you can't change the game. If you change the game, you're doing it wrong. I mean, that's just, you're changing the way that the game is played, you're doing it wrong. I'm not saying that your guys are going to be dirty, and that's not what I'm talking about. But if you go across the middle, you should be able to get hit without somebody throwing a flag. I understand you don't want to lead with the crown of your helmet, and you want to do that. That's not what's happening 9 times out of 10. It's football. If I'm going to tackle a guy, I mean, my head is attached to my body the last time I checked. My head is going to go first. That's the way it is. And it's going to make contact with something. I know you guys have heard me say this before, and I'll say it till the end of time. Football, unfortunately, is a sport where bones break and ligaments tear. It's just the way that it is. We don't want to see it, but we know it's going to happen. Heck, ligaments tear half the time on non-contact injuries. A guy just running and planting and going another direction, he blows out an ACL. That happens every day. Nobody hits him. Nobody pushes him. Somebody blows out an ACL every single day, and it's horrible. But it happens. The same thing in football. A guy gets hit. He gets knocked out. It happens. Do you want it to happen? No. Do you take the precautions after it does happen? Yes. You absolutely do. You take care of them. That was the problem previously. It wasn't that the guys were getting hit. It was that, they give you some smelling salts. And then in 2 plays later, you're back in a football game and they can't even see. That's where the issue was. It wasn't the issue of getting knocked out. It was what happened after you got knocked out. Nobody ever talks about that. It's always, well, you got to take this out of the game, that out of the game. No, you don't. First of all, in the NFL, you find guys enough, they're going to learn to do things differently. Apparently. You know, I think you got to take it out altogether. That's my stance. You know, if you don't want guys leading with the crown of your helmet in professional ranks, you fine them. Okay, great. Or you call penalties. I mean, but again, everything isn't a flag. Everything just isn't a flag when it comes to targeting. Now, you flip it to college, it has gone berserk. Every tackle is targeting. I mean, if I see a ref do this, I mean, you see it 4 or 5 times a game. And then what is targeting? I go to tackle a guy. He dips his head. I hit him with my head. The personal foul's on me. And then the penalty in college is absolutely ridiculous. Look, the NCAA is horrible. I mean, it's horrible. But can you at least do something right? Make a change. Kicking a kid out of a game and making him miss the next half, it's like that's the same penalty as fighting. How can that be? I go to just to tackle a guy, and you kick me out of the game. My team gets a 15-yard penalty. You kick me out of this game, and then I have to miss another half of the next game. I mean, think about that. How many times have we seen it in bowl games where a kid hits somebody in the first quarter, gets kicked out, his college career is over a bang-bang play that he may or may not even have initiated? It's like, what are you doing looking, the people that are in the replay booth, what are you watching? I mean, perfect example was last week, K-State, linebacker Green, he goes to make a tackle, the quarterback dips his head, and I mean, what am I supposed to do? If I'm going to tackle you and you dip your head into me and I hit you, that's not my fault. But yet, thrown out of the game, missing the next half of the biggest game of the year. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I mean, at some point, somebody's got to step in. These college coaches, these ADs, these presidents, they got to step in and say enough's enough. Okay, you want to penalize them 15 yards, fine. Well, then the counter argument to that is, well, you know, if it's only a 15-yard penalty, they'll keep doing it. No, they won't. They're not going to keep doing that. You know, a head coach isn't going to allow for his player to continue to get 15-yard penalties. At some point, they're going to take him out of the game. That's just what's going to happen. And he's going to learn to do it right. And you can't be kicking these kids, especially these egregious. It's just gone berserk. It's gone way, way overboard on what you're trying to do. Safety first. I get it. Changing how guys play football. I mean, in a split-second decision. First of all, if you ask these pros to make the decision and they can't do it, how do you expect these college kids to be able to do it? I would really like to know that. These professionals that aren't doing it and can't, it's not that they can't do it in a lot of cases. I'm running, I'm going to make a tackle, I hit you. If they can't do it, how's the college kid supposed to do it? And then the penalty is worse. You may think the penalty for a professional is worse because you're taking money off his check. You know what? They can afford that. They can afford it. And it's not about me counting their pockets either, because I'm the first person to tell you, don't count my money, count somebody else's money. At the same time, the penalty isn't because they're still playing football. They have the ability to make it back. You're taking a college kid's time away. It could be the last game that he ever plays in his life, and you remove that. Bottom line, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If they really cared and really wanted to make it safer, Take the helmets off. Take the face mask off. Think guys are going to be diving in with no face mask or no helmet? No, they're not going to do that. But you can't play football that way. Some things aren't going to be as safe as we want them to be. And we're still going to do it. You have to. I mean, it's just the way that it is. It's just like I mentioned about driving a car. Driving a car, they've made it as safe, and they're going to continue to make it safe. People still drive, and they tell you to go faster. They haven't lowered the speed limits anywhere. Football, the same thing. You want to take all the precautions that you can, but guys are bigger, faster, stronger. And that's not going to slow down anytime soon. But yet you're trying to change it and penalize them. It's ridiculous is what it is. It's just ridiculous. Like I said, football is football. Football is a collision sport. There are some things we just have to deal with as a society. Guys are going to get lit up. And we want to see it. I mean, the NFL, I don't think they haven't done it lately because, you get sued for so much money. You're going to stop. But they used to make highlight tapes out of just hits. Just hits. And we all loved it. We all loved it. You can't even deny it. You loved it. We go to football games to watch those things. We want our teams to win, but we want to see a big hit. We don't want to see anybody get hurt, but we want to see a big hit. That's part of it. That's football. Can't take that out of football. Don't be punishing these kids. Professionals, it is what it is. I don't want to see because it's getting in the way of professional football too, but it's really in the way of college football. I mean, like I said, you get 4 or 5 penalties a game of stopping the play and taking 3 and 4 minutes to look at it and still coming back with the wrong result where we as fans look at it one time and you can see, oh, the running back dipped his head. Oh, the receiver dipped his head when he caught the ball. But yet the defender hits him and it's on him. I'm like, well, hold on. It's like, what are you watching? Why is the penalty so severe for a kid? I get it, the safety, but come on. Enough's enough. Enough is enough. I thought I would bring this up and talk about this today because literally it is ruining football. It's in the way. It's just terrible what they're doing. And again, I feel bad, and I guess better words, I apologize. I feel even more bad for the kids that are being punished than I do the professionals. And I feel bad for the professionals because it's ridiculous. Making these grown men trying to make split-second decisions when their job is to hit a guy. That's literally a job. The safety's job is to hit a guy. I mean, that used to be the job. You come across the middle, the safety, his job was to knock your head off and to let you understand if you keep coming in here, this is what's going to keep happening. Well, now, because of the rules, you can't do that anymore. And more often than not, you see missed tackles, which I don't like. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Again, come check us out at the website, www.koolaidsports.com, Kool-Aid with the C. The email address is bigbsportstalk44@gmail.com. bigbsportstalk44@gmail.com. Come check us out again at Kool-Aid Sports on YouTube. Kool-Aid with the C on YouTube. We're everywhere. I appreciate you guys taking the time. Keep coming back, and I'll keep putting them out. Thank you, guys.